Welcome to this digital infrastructure event of heat reusage within the data center industry. I'm Lars Sedin, and on a daily basis, I'm operational within the Swedish data center operator EcoDatacenter. EcoDatacenter was from the very beginning designed to become an important piece of an ecosystem with the municipality of Falun. And today we are reusing the heat in two ways. First of all, with the district heating system, and secondly, by the municipality-owned pellets factory. And I will revert to these two solutions later on in my presentation. I would like to share with you some bullets in order for this subject. Why at all recapturing the heat? Well, first of all, there could be regulation. We know by now that EU Commission is considering applying charges to those that are building new data centers not reusing the heat. However, we don't know how they will view the old generation of data centers. So if there is anyone who knows, please get in touch with me. But how these new regulations potentially will be, we don't know yet. Secondly, of course, the market in itself could demand reusing the heat. Though at EcoDatacenter, we haven't seen that the market is yet requiring data center operators reusing the heat. And thirdly, of course, the industry in itself could arrange different kind of alliances, adopting new ideas and standards. There are some initiatives taken, but those are mainly, so far, focusing on climate impact as well as technical developments. But at EcoDatacenter, we want to be good citizens. From the very beginning, we want to be part of the society and doing all our best in order to replace other energy sources such as oil and gas by new solutions. So how do we then reuse the heat? What have we seen so far? Well, the most commonly way in doing that is, of course, I repeat this, injecting the heat from the operations straight into a district heating system. And I think that all our competitors in Stockholm today are somehow connected with the Stockholm district heating system, which, by the way, is the world's largest district heating system. In Sweden, it's very common that municipalities build district heating system, mainly by burning garbage that they are paid for. But the additional peaks could be added by heat used from a data center. What we also have seen, particularly in Norway, is reusing heat for fish farms or lobster farms. I know that Green Mountain has done a very interesting project in Norway in where they are feeding their heat into lobster farms, which I would like to know more about. Thirdly, of course, greenhouses. We have seen that, tomatoes, etc. We've seen that in Netherlands. Still, I don't know about the efficiency and the savings, climate savings from these heat reusage. And a very interesting project has been completed by RISE in the northern part of Sweden, in where they are having worm farms. Worms that are grown up and later on will become feed for instance, for chickens. Very interesting alternative, and considering the global interest for new protein sources, this might be a new source for food for later on for human being, but that I don't know about. And finally, of course, pellets production that we are doing in Falun. Pellets contains of sawdust, pressure and heat. And by doing this process, we are releasing the energy in the sawdust. The pellets are produced and stored in huge bars, later on sold to homes and the industry is not connected to the district heating system. And the efficiency is fantastic. So 1 kilowatt hour of heat will generate an energy value in the pellets of 4.3 kilowatt hours. And when you burn a pellet, 1 kilowatt hour causes 17 grams of carbon emissions. But the alternative, mainly through oil, would have caused so much more emissions. So it's a perfect way in replacing or avoiding emissions, which is fantastic in the sustainability reporting. Or, well, fact not. Because fact is that this avoidance we are not allowed to take the benefits from, and I will revert to that because this is one obstacle from reusing the heat. As said, yeah, well, I'm a bit ahead of my presentation here. 4.3 kilowatt hour from 1 kilowatt hour of heat. It's a fantastic calculation. So just by moving deployment of servers from certain part of Europe up to Sweden, where you will have fossil sources from the very beginning, coal or lignite, just by moving it up to the northern part of Sweden, you will be avoiding 98% because the renewable power in Sweden causes in average 10 grams of emissions per kilowatt hour, while lignite and coal is probably up to almost 1,000 grams, which will make the savings 99%. But also considering unfortunately, the very high prices of energy in Europe, the lower price for power here will make the decision, should make the decision even easier for companies and organizations deploying their capacity need up to the Nordics. And of course, since we have the possibility of reusing the heat, meaning that the customer will be an even better citizen from our solution. So what's the obstacle? Well, greenhouse gas protocol, scope 1 to 3, does not include any avoidance of emissions. The avoidance framework is not yet accepted by greenhouse gas protocol, meaning that any of our avoidance of oil and gas from our district heating system or pellets production cannot be included in our sustainability report. The only way to mitigate the emissions in scope 1, 2, and 3 is by carbon credits. That's the only way currently that our industry can offset the emissions. And I think it's wrong. I think we need to have some benefits from the avoidance of emissions. So the downsides from reusing the heat, first of all, it's capex. Currently, we need heat pumps because we are currently in air cooling solutions, meaning that the quality of heat is not high enough to be able to be possible to be reused in our solutions, and thereby we need heat pumps. That requires capex, and the heat pumps also requires maintenance opex. And as said, the revenue streams from these businesses is not that very high. So I would say that this is not a profitable business. Thirdly, also, the energy consumption increases as the heat pumps requires electricity, also hitting the PUE of the company. And finally, it increases emissions according to the greenhouse gas protocol, because when you're burning the pellets, as said, you're causing 17 grams of emissions per kilowatt hour, but you're not allowed to take the benefits from the avoidance of emissions. So here are some really obstacles from reusing the heat. So what trends do we now see for the future in this industry from reusing the heat? Well, we expect that there will be significant changes going forward, driven by direct liquid cooling or immersion liquid cooling. We see that the density per rack are increasing, and by that, soon we will reach a level where direct liquid cooling and or immersion liquid cooling will be required. And that will also improve the efficiency from the heat. The heat will be higher, and we can feed back into the system a higher level of heat, high temperature to the system, which will, in the long run, not require any heat pumps, meaning that we can avoid that capex, we can avoid that opex, and we can avoid that additional energy consumption. At the same time, when you are taking away the fans from the servers, you will even improve or lower the energy consumption for running the server. And second trend that will come is that we will see servers being able to operate at higher temperatures, even up to 60 degrees Celsius. Meaning that we will cool these servers by hot water. We will actually send in 40 degrees of hot water and get out 57 degrees. And that, of course, also enables us to provide any system with higher temperatures from the operations. And we once again can avoid heat pumps and all the capex and opex attached with that. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to this. And please get in touch if you have any comments, feedback, or just input to us. I love discussing this subject, and let's learn from each other. Thank you very much.